All right, let's do this. What the fuckers, what the fuck buddies. I listened to one Mark Maron episode today, and I said that. Welcome to another episode of Jeff Stuff. I say another because this is number 2, where I just talk about things. I'm very novice, very amateur, but here's my take where I'm at, how I got to this point, where I'm comfortable enough to say this after a couple years of work. The first Jeff Stuff was, which is a weird thing to say. The first Jeff Stuff was how to get paid creative work. Today is about knowing your value as you do get paid for creative work. I kind of hinted at it in that one, and so it just felt like a natural baton handoff into this topic. First up is assess your situation. By that I mean, are you a full-time worker right now? Do you have a 9-to-5 job? Maybe you have a more demanding job than 9 to 5. You're working in the restaurant, and whatever you're working, leverage that against your monthly costs and what you'd like to save. I'm starting to believe savings are a myth. I am not alone in that. Not that savings are a myth, but saving up to buy a house, saving up to blah, blah, blah. You're gonna be a creative, especially. The idea of saving up to really increase your income. That whole thing, that it seems a little out of reach, at least in the beginning stages of your career. And by beginning stage, you just heard my mic cut out. That wasn't a glitch on YouTube. That was my mic cutting out, which I didn't realize until I was editing. I went on to talk for 15 minutes, which we're not gonna get mad about. If there's anything you need to know right away as a principle of creative work, roll with the punches for sure. So what I meant by the beginning stages of your career, I don't mean the first 6 weeks, 6 months. I kind of mean the first 6 years, hopefully under that. But just prepare for the long haul. Fall in love with it. Fall in love with the process. That is your foundation. Once you know kind of where you're at, what you want to, and then you set some targets. That's your foundation. So have your end goal in mind. Where do you want this work to take you? Whether that's the role you want to play within the creative space, or financial number that you want to be making to support a family, to have health insurance, buy a house, take care of your parents, whatever it is. Kind of know that. Prepare for it all. At least think about it all once. So with those two kind of parallels, foundation, objective, build your career between those brackets and kind of maneuver from one end to the other slowly, gradually, as your talent and work ethic and reputation increases. Goals are very important. They're not everything. One thing that's really helped me is not really focusing on goals. James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, is all about not focusing on goals and rather the habits that'll get you there. Goals are very intangible. Habits, however, are what we do every day to get to that goal. I've loved that. A lot of people ask, what are your goals in comedy? What are your goals with whatever? I love doing it. I love doing it, and I get to do it most days. I am at my goal. Everything else would be nice, like I'd like to, do this or that. What I do every day now, 5 years ago, I would have considered, a dream life. And I mean that, like working on my projects, helping other people realize their projects, and yeah, it's pretty cool. So do your habit. Continuing to live out my goal is very possible as long as I wake up tomorrow and I go about doing what I need to do and doing what I want to do and doing what I'm fortunate enough to get to do. Okay, so once you got, a good idea where you're at, where you're going, the best way to find out what you should be asking for as far as financial compensation for your work is ask your peers. By asking the peers, whether you know them or not, maybe you get to know them, then you ask, or maybe you know someone doing what you want to do, graphic design, video, all that stuff. When you ask your peers, you not only figure out what people are making in your community, you also get a sense of what the market you exist in values your work at. Even if you talk to someone that's been doing it a lot longer and making a lot more money, you can still ask them, how did they get here? How did they get to the point where they're making that much money? Where did they start? What did growth look like for them? That is LinkedIn in real life, baby. Invaluable stuff. And usually people are open to talking, especially if you're kind, you're really working on what you're working on. People that are also doing it will see that. They will want to, impart what they can to help you do what you want to do. This was a gift, this whole second take thing. I'm gonna have, because I know what I want to say now, rather than rambling and then editing down. And the light went out. Okay, it's a gift still, it's a gift. God, this is funny. Okay, plug in the light. Take 80, okay. As I was saying, it is a gift because first the mics died and I let them charge. I went and did other stuff that I had to do on my to-do list, some editing, and now I know what I want to say, and I'll have less edit time in the final product. The light can go fuck itself. That was funny. I knew that thing has a low battery life. The fourth thing is to start small. That's obvious. Start small, whether it's free or not. Don't go into creative work needing to rely entirely on your creative work to survive. I'm sure there's some unicorn stories of people doing that and making it. Few and far between. Start low, scale up. I think that's the easiest way to go about it. And even as you scale up and increase your rates and become a professional, there are still going to be some opportunities that come along that are not paid nearly as well as what you're used to making at that point, or maybe you work for free for something because there's value outside of the literal money itself, and that can be the people you get to work with, whether they're career advancing or they're people you admire or people you're friends, or there's just a business or a community group or that could benefit immensely from what you bring to the table, and yet they can't really afford you or someone of your caliber. I think there's incredible value in if you have the time and you're able to help with your talent, your creative work. Go ahead and do that. Again, I think that all comes back down the road karmically or financially. You as a creative, you have a gift, you have a talent, you have a skill, and it really shows. People really admire it. It's very public facing. I just think that, yeah, you could really make someone's day, someone's week, someone's year by giving them that gift of what you can do. So final thing is, yeah, trust your gut. Trust your gut, trust your instincts, that little voice that's saying, maybe I could do that. I could do that. I could do that. That little voice, that is huge. It's louder as you work and grow as an artist and as a creative. It's really cool to hear it grow because it's everything. That's kind of all you have is that little voice inside you. That's, not to get too meta or too grandiose, existential. That's kind of the only consistent thing in your life. Your physical body changes. The people you spend time with know change. Your physical surroundings change. That little voice, you've had that voice, you have your whole life. It wants to push you creatively now. So listen to it. Whether it's what jobs to take, when to raise your rate. For instance, some obstacle you might run into is, you start out at this rate with these people, and all of a sudden it's time to get new clients that don't even know these first clients, whole different space. You've increased your rate. And then all of a sudden the initial client has a friend in their business community that saw the work you did for your first client, and they want to hire you on. I always, in my mind, think, oh, they're talking and they know my rate. So maybe just assume that that's happened, even if it hasn't. But still say, hey, it'd be great to do it. And when they ask for your rate, say, hey, I'm charging. I'm looking for this much money now. I hope that works. I'm open to discussion. Throw that in there as a caveat. I don't think you need to. I think they'll usually pass it and really meet you where you're at because there's a reason they're reaching out to you. Keep that in mind. They're not reaching out to someone who's not worth it. Think of them. Think of them in their shoes. Their business is just as important to them as your work is to you and your life is to you. And they're not going to bring someone on that they don't think is an immense asset and value to what they're doing. View yourself in the same light, and that your new rate, or even an increased rate for client number 3, that is going to enable you to keep doing what you're doing what you're getting better at, doing what you're passionate about. And yeah, that's all. Trust your gut, trust your instincts, trust that little voice. Because eventually you're going to throw that extra money, not only towards your life and, as you continue the transition as from working in just a paycheck kind of job into the passion kind of job, you will throw that money into new equipment, which will increase your ability to serve all clients. And the clients that you're asking money from, they're going to see the returns of the higher rates. And I think that's a perfect segue into the next one, which is equipment buying, equipment acquiring, equipment in general. So yeah, thank you for listening. Roll with the punches. Roll with the punches.